Let us duck off that screen, and we are going to be jumping over to game number 1 in this set between 3DB and PuppyPaw. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to an interesting color matchup. We have found ourselves a very interesting spot here. Spawning in on the right-hand side of the map, not what your UI would tell you that PuppyPaw is playing the blue. PuppyPaw is in fact playing the yellow color. I'm not sure how he was given the yellow color, why he has got the yellow color, but Viper definitely going to be very jealous of PuppyPaw here in his beautiful yellow. Over on the other side of the map in the color blue, it is going to be 3DB who is playing as the French. But the UI will be very confusing, so maybe we can even just look to have that little underscore that is placed below players, or just put him as red. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. We'll just put him as red. That'll fix it up. But we've got it all sorted out. But I do see that we've got our first wheelbarrow alarm that could be coming out any second. PuppyPaw already researching wheelbarrow, but he's playing the deli, so it doesn't really count, does it?
No, not really. You get it for free, so... but you could spam that wheelbarrow emote in the chat anyway. I believe I saw EGC saying earlier that if that emote doesn't get spammed every time wheelbarrow is in the game, that there will be no more tournaments. So definitely make sure you get that in the chat. We want to have more tournaments in the future.
All right, I'll do my part. Actually, I would do my part, but a whole bunch of my wheelbarrows aren't working. Let me get them out. All right, there we go. There we go. All right.
There we go. Tons of wheelbarrows in the chat.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. I love to see those wheelbarrows out. It's looking like a beautiful Sunday morning at Bunnings. Actually, over on your side of the world, up in Canada, what do they got when it comes to... If you want to get some hardware, what is your hardware franchise? What is it called? Because ours is called Bunnings. That's where we go.
Canada has one called Canadian Tire. That's where you go for a lot of that kind of thing.
So you don't just get tires there. You're also getting other hardware stuff. So, like, if I need... where do I go if I need, like, a tap? Can I go there?
Yep. You can get most things there.
Okay.
I would say I go there more frequently for that than anything car-related.
Well, that's good to know. If I ever make the move, at least I'll be able to sort out anything car-related or non-car related. But, we can now see that we've got a yellow bar up the top for PuppyPaw. It's a little bit bigger than what you'd expect to be, but he's a big kind of dog, so watch out for him. But now going to be thinking about aging up. We see that landmark dropping down for him. He's going to be going up with the Dome of the Faith, I'm suspecting. I didn't see it, but I can kind of see the UI. School of Cavalry coming up for 3DB here. So nothing too crazy coming out just yet, Mitoe.
Nope, pretty standard stuff from both players. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how B chooses to approach this, because French is going to be the civ that chooses kind of like what the pace of the game is going to look like early on. And so far, it's looking like he's probably just going to be doing that early night. He's dropping in that mill down now, so going to be grabbing probably that wheelbarrow in transition. And then we're going to have to see if he's going to switch over to stone, or if he's going to drop a military building like an archery range.
It is indeed a wheelbarrow that comes out. Ladies and gentlemen, get your EGC wheelbarrows out. I hear a wheelbarrow alert coming through right now. But, yeah, that is going to be, I guess, the question, you know. Because, as you mentioned, French sets the tempo for the game. What direction do they look to take it? We're probably going to be seeing an early night out here. And I guess, as a result, PuppyPaw will need to respond to that. Does he look to go for an early barracks? Is he going to be playing that style that we typically see out of deli players? And indeed, we do see a deli early barracks coming out. So not going to be going for that double... I was going to say double engineering bay, that double blacksmith that we do typically see coming out. I think the reason why my brain defaults to engineering bay is because in StarCraft, you very often go for a double eBay. And so, like, naturally, you know, I'm thinking towards that. Even though, Age of Empires 3 was my main game for so long, my brain's still like, oh, it's double of something. It's for upgrades. It's got to be an engineering bay.
Yeah, in AoE 3, you would never go for a double arsenal, so makes sense. But, yeah, now we are up to the next stage. Looks like it is going to be that knight coming out for B, and a couple of spearmen on the other side for PuppyPaw to try and defend those, defend against those raids. And it is going to be Sanctity coming in next for PuppyPaw.
Yeah, so going to be turning his attention towards those religious sacred sites. We can take a look at exactly where they spawned It seems like it's a pretty fair spawn. Initially, my first thought is, well, it looks good for 3DB, but then I'm like, well, they kind of curve back towards the base there for PuppyPaw, kind of a bit like a banana. So I think you'll be happy with that. The south one and the north one looking pretty decent there. It's only that one in the middle that looks a little bit closer, but walls coming up for PuppyPaw. So he is cognizant of the fact his enemy might be coming in with a Royal Knight very shortly as 3DB moves across the map. And now we see a wall up towards the north coming through with that Spearman. So going to be wasting no time there, just looking to seal up that gap and prevent any of that, any of those runarounds coming through.
Yep, these walls are really nice as they just limit the area you have to defend. You don't have to worry about units coming and hitting you from that back angle. So that makes a lot of sense. There's going to be a stable coming down next for him, and one villager not going to go down.
Oh.
You know, there's a nice thing about Delhi in this matchup, and that's that Delhi gets that free textiles. As you can see, it already saved one villager for him. You don't have to invest those 150 resources into getting that tech. You just kind of get it as soon as you hit feudal age, and that helps you a lot.
Yeah, that's a great point. Something that I didn't consider. I thought you were going to say that, you know, in the event that he wants to heal up that villager, he's going to be able to do it because he's got the scholar out, and you know he can do that. But then as soon as you mention that, I'm like, oh, of course, that makes total sense. It means that, you know, there's an extra hit. In fact, I think it would work out to be an extra 2 hits that would need to be happening. So makes it really difficult for the French player, doesn't it?
Yeah, especially with the Spearman start, that Knight's not going to be able to achieve too much right now. But he is getting scouting information with it, so it's not completely worthless. He is, of course, also going to be able to heal it later. And, you know, free damage on villagers is nothing to scoff at. You know, later in the game, that villa's still going to have 5 HP unless he heals it with that scholar, as you mentioned. And that's just a free kill for even something like a scout, if he happens to stumble across it.
Yeah, now we can see that he's doing a great job of just controlling the narrative at this point in time, but a Knight is going to make it through, going to be trying to connect, and it looks like he has indeed found a connection. Villager on 5 health just keeps gathering the berries. Doesn't need to garrison, just going to be heading back towards the safety of that town center. You can see 2 villagers down here on 5 health apiece. He is struggling right now to take out any villagers, and this is really a beautiful little, I guess it's a very small, you know, minutia detail of this matchup, but it is one of those things. Is the scout is it idle? What's going on here?
I'm not sure what's going on there.
Scout now going to be drawing away that wolf, just taking them away from any of the knights or archers that run by. But we can see now B is looking to turn his attention towards adding in archers. He's up to 7 archers already. He's going to be pushing out with a handful of them. And now those knights going to be repelled by the spears, but looking to enter into this battle. And the archer's going to be teeing off. The first spearman going to be going down. Second spearman looking to lose its life as well. He manages to survive, but knight's going to be in chasing right now, looking to come up the rear with the gear. And now all of a sudden it starts to get worrisome for PuppyPaw, but we hear those sacred sites being taken down towards the south side. B immediately turns down there. He realizes how important it is to stop that. And indeed, we've got a couple of spears down there, but knights looking terrifying. Whenever you're outnumbered by knights compared to your spearmen, it's not a fun time. It is not a fun time.
Nope, and he's going to be trying to use these knights to get rid of the scholar. The spear or the archers are now in, and they're going to be picking off the spearmen. One knight actually does go down though, and there's actually a lot of units here from PuppyPaw.
Yeah, PuppyPaw trying his best to hold on to this sacred site. Unfortunately, the scholar does go down, but a huge amount of spears going to be coming in up the rear. And now all of the horsemen looking to try and get in on top of those archers, doing a great job. Not enough screening being run here. And PuppyPaw in the yellow looking very, very strong as he continues to fight against his opponent and get these nice early trades. Ideally, if he can take effective trades in the early game here, it's going to help him out a huge amount. And he's going to be looking for that victory timing around that 18-minute mark is where he's going to be going for that timing. But he does get repelled here. A couple of horsemen going to be able to make it back towards the base. A lot of these guys are pretty badly damaged, so it means you'll be able to heal them up, get them out fresh, get them out new, give them a new pair of socks, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, he's going to be able to heal those up, and that was a really scary timing for B. He managed to hold on there with some really good micro, saved one knight at 1 HP, and the important outcome of this fight is that Delhi isn't able to take that sacred site, so overall a win for French.
Yeah, one of the interesting things to note is that PuppyPaw didn't move out to each of the sacred sites. One of the things that we do see is one scholar coming out for each sacred site, but it wasn't the case here today. Why do you think that is?
Yeah, I wonder if he just felt like that southern sacred site is closer to PuppyPaw's base and maybe a little bit easier for PuppyPaw to go for. And so he kind of just figured that's likely where it's going to be. He may have also had a scout looking around that we didn't happen to see at one point, but yeah, I guess he just felt like the other ones are closer to his base and he's going to be able to contest them more easily if PuppyPaw takes them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So now going to continue moving out. I would expect that we see even more Scholars. A Knight going to be getting in on the action. Still yet to heal up some of those horsemen. You can see they're on quite low health. And now turning his attention up towards the north. You can see that raid getting intercepted. Wheelbarrow in for both players, but now PuppyPaw with all of those upgrades is going to continue adding in more. And also going to be looking to start taking map control. He's got a bit of an unfortunate hunt spawn out towards the middle of the map. You can see how close it is towards his enemy. Compare that over to the French player. And obviously with the French player with map control, it's a lot easier for him to take that. But now Knight up towards the north, going to be running in, and that villager going to be surviving. Oh, there's not enough room, but who cares? The villager doesn't care. What do you mean? I've got enough health to survive 4 hits. Actually, 5 hits it takes to take down one of those villagers. Jeez Louise, those things are tanky.
Yeah, textiles is such an important upgrade, but there's a fight in the south of the map here on the sacred site again. PuppyPaw again with a big mass of units, and I think B might need some spearmen soon.
Yeah, this isn't looking pretty. You know, typically the French just love to go for this composition. You know, the classic archers with the knights, and then they just do everything that they can. But now looks like a villager still yet to die, and now that the last remaining villager that's out going to be doing a run around. You can see the knight struggling. It's just going to go back to the berry bushes, and the knight going to be going down. Oh no, terrible damage, and B losing that knight, not even able to take out a single villager in that scenario. You can really start to see the importance of textiles right now. You know what, Mitoe? You sold it to me. You really did. That is impressive stuff. I can't believe how much those villagers survive in this matchup because of that single technology.
Yeah, it's a very underrated technology against a civ like the French, especially. Just saves so many villagers in so many situations. And yeah, it's really paying off big time for PuppyPaw that he gets that for free as the deli.
Yeah, really, really impressive. And now that mass is starting to look a bit scary. Scholars beginning to move out as well. Still no sacred sites taken for PuppyPaw at the moment. So up until this point, 3DB has done everything right. He has denied sacred sites, so he has played quote-unquote the perfect game. So if still somehow PuppyPaw manages to win despite not taking the sacred sites, you got to wonder, you know, what could it be done that was extra? But now we see a couple of look at the Scholars moving forward. Scholars going on a little bit of a brigade, a little bit of an expedition at this point in time. Now going to stop back and start doing some healing. The mass from PuppyPaw looking to get completely destroyed here. Knights just trading very effectively up against these horsemen, having a little bit of trouble reading the difference between these units in the tree lines, but those Scholars still managing to stay alive. Knights working on it, but it's not looking pretty right now for PuppyPaw, is it?
Yeah, this fight was at such a knife's edge. If those Scholars had been healing from the start, this actually would have gone in favor of PuppyPaw most likely. But as a result of them just kind of walking around and not healing as much, B actually takes a great fight.
Yeah, really, really good fight there. Now, B's got map control. Now, one of the things to note is with map control comes a lot of bonuses. Obviously, you maintain control of the sacred sites, but you also look to punish your enemy. We saw him try and punish his enemy up towards the north. Unsuccessful. You know, there's only enough room for 10 villagers in that outpost, but that's okay because the last villager, that one villager that remains, he's got textiles, so he'd just be able to do rings around the rosy until that knight dies, and that's exactly what happened before. But keep in mind that B, for whatever reason, has been running a bit of an idle town center. He's on 47 villagers at the moment compared to PuppyPaw, who's on 45. Now, PuppyPaw, I don't think has even lost a villager yet against the French. That is an impressive feat. But B, ideally, should be on a lead of about 6 or 7 villagers at this point in the game.
Yeah, I wonder if he's just been trying to get out as many units as possible and neglecting his villager production as a result. It's going to be another fight over the sacred site here. And, yeah, I mean, French is definitely sitting in a good spot having denied these sacred sites, but as you mentioned, that idle TC time is going to be biting B in the butt pretty soon, as PuppyPaw is finishing up all of these eco-techs that he's getting for free. He's got horticulture, double broadaxe, and the...
specialized pick.
I can't. Specialized pick, that's the one.
I got you.
And so his economy is actually looking to be better than the French right now, which is not what you would expect, having lost no villagers.
Yeah, the other thing for me is that we haven't seen B add in a second town center yet. And that's essentially the win condition. And this is something that we talked about earlier, is okay, congratulations, you've prevented the Delhi player from getting the 3 sacred sites, but now they've got all of their upgrades. So now this is where they sort of hit their first power spike. Their second power spike comes in after they take all 3 of those sacred sites and then hit Castle Age. That's when their real power spike comes in. But this is one that you're going to have to deal with. And you've got no way to really mitigate this because as a French player, sure, you've got the advantage of having faster training villages, but how are you actually going to be looking to gain a win condition out of that? It's not until you add that second town center that all of a sudden that win condition is born. And I start to worry for 3DB in this position because even though he's done a great job in holding on up until this point in time, I can't help but feel that the longer this game goes on, the more likely it seems that PuppyPaw will be victorious.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And we're also approaching the state of the game where soon PuppyPaw could potentially think about sneaking in an age up. And if he gets away with that, Delhi is so much stronger in the Castle Age than they are in the Feudal Age, that would start to be a pretty rough situation for B if he's still equivalent in economy at that same time.
Yeah, that's a really good point, but we can see now behind this, with regard to economy, that B is still adding in more military units, but he's yet to get any of those upgrades. So this is something that we talked about. PuppyPaw, he's got the horticulture, he's got the double broadaxe, he's got the specialized pick, but you look on B's side, he doesn't have any of them. And as a result, even though B's got a bit of a lead with regard to vill count, at least he does for the moment. Let's see how much longer these villagers manage to survive as a bit of a surround comes through, but it's only horsemen. You don't have to be particularly worried about horsemen. I don't know, do we have a textile upgrade coming through from B yet? Let's have a look. Let's have a look. We might be able to click on one of the villagers. No textile upgrade at the moment yet from B. So his villagers are going to be playing with fire, it seems. Yeah, I mean, at this point in time, it's starting to look worse and worse for B. You can see that B is now adding in farms around the town center. About the time that you would expect, about 17 minutes. Sacred Site's finally going to get picked up here by PuppyPaw. I don't think B's in a position to stop it, though.
No, definitely. Well, actually, he's got quite a lot of units here. He's actually going to be able to maybe go straight towards that sacred site. And if he can't stop it from being captured, he might be able to at least get it after this fight. But it's actually quite a large army from both players.
That's a big army from PuppyPaw right now. It's a beautiful comp that he's got. Tri-unit comp.
Lot of spearmen.
Look at the spearmen. Yeah, there's so many spears right here. I feel like B may have bitten off more than he can chew, and that's something that you rarely see a B do. But now the spearmen going to be making their way around, looking to try and screen there, providing a good little buffer in. But you can see the archers for B looking to push up on that front line. At the same time, the horsemen going to be running in, getting a beautiful charge off. And an overwhelming victory right now for PuppyPaw. It seems the military continuing to funnel in right now. All of the units looking incredibly strong for PuppyPaw, and we can see that beautiful golden bar still stays on the screen, but that's okay. You'll know he's playing yellow. It's a very rare occasion that it does happen. Mitoe, I can't help but feel that PuppyPaw is looking incredible in this situation.
Yeah, this looks to be like he's going to be taking a decisive advantage after this fight. Just cleaning up a lot of B's units. He's going to get the sacred sites behind this, and I don't know how B gets back from this, because behind this, all of his villagers are exposed.
Yeah, this is really difficult. He's going to have to transition onto farms. All the sacred sites are going to get taken by PuppyPaw. The economy is going to go big. He's going to go into Castle Age. He's out on the map. He's taking his berries. He's taking the hunts. He is doing everything that he wants to be doing. And now we indeed see those additional sacred sites being taken. More military getting rallied to the center. And it looks like Puppy has survived long enough to be able to transition into this mid-game death ball that the Delhi love to do. He continues now, but he is on 0 food a minute right now, PuppyPaw. So reinforcements are going to be struggling the closer that we get to his opponent's base. And B, at the same time, he's on 1,200 food a minute. So there's a bit of a difference between these two. Who knows? The longer this fight goes on, if these units manage to stay alive, maybe PuppyPaw actually loses. But we'll have to see how he continues to play it out. Horsemen going to be forcing back these units. A lot of spears moving up. Villagers soaking up this stone as well. They're going to have to fall back if they're not careful. A volley getting teed off towards them. One of them going to go down. Second one trying its best to run away in this position, but B holding on for dear life. A second lumber camp going to get thrown up on this front line. In fact, it's the fourth lumber camp on this lumber camp. And now a raid coming back. Oh, the scholar is slightly out of position. A raid on the back line. Horsemen just doing what horsemen do best, dying to villagers. Whew. Well, it's not looking good right now for B. He's managed to find a boar though, so that's not terrible. finding the boar down towards the south. As long as PuppyPaw doesn't punish it, that would be okay. But now continuing to push into the base. He's got to be careful not to overextend. There's still a pretty big economy here for B. Villager count starting to pull ahead for PuppyPaw at this point in time. Keep in mind, he's got access to all those technologies, whereas B's still yet to research them. And now those archers pushing in. More villagers going down. All 3 sacred sites have been taken. The sacred site counter has now begun. PuppyPaw is approaching sacred victory. He falls back in this position and slowly but steadily. Oh my lord, look at those farms. That is some gorgeous farming right there. And it's very lopsided, isn't it, Mitoe? Did you see that? They were all on one side.
Yeah, it looks like they are, but that was a very quick farm transition, going from 0 food per minute to, what is that, like 25 farms already? 28 farms. That's crazy.
It's a lot. It is a lot.
Yeah, that is actually gonna mitigate that military advantage a little bit for B. If he'd had consistent food production the whole time, PuppyPaw could have had a much larger army, and this game potentially could have been over. But the game is going to continue because the French player has managed to use up a lot of these hunts. He's on that boar now, as you mentioned, and he's not out of this game yet. He is down in villagers, but the game's definitely not over.
Sacred Site's yet to be walled up, so it means these knights are going to be easily able to walk in and dish out, you know, a little bit of a decap. But now, once again, PuppyPaw on the front, going to be beginning to push in relentlessly. He's kind of looking like Vortex at the moment. This is something that Vortex does. And now we've got all of those knights trying their best to come through. Going to be able to splice and slice their way, but the spearmen going to be able to intercept. And archers going to be trying their best. The sacred site, is it going to get decapped? They're going to be able to get onto it. Oh my lord, they make it. I don't even see that sacred site being captured right now, but the gold is still trickling in. Somehow, some way, these archers manage to make it onto the sacred site, and he saves it. All of that gold. The sacred victory is not interrupted. Very, very clutch. But now all of a sudden, hold on a minute, 3DB, he's starting to build up that mass of knights. And I would honestly expect, when I see that many knights coming out from from B, that PuppyPaw just immediately reacts. He has to drop down additional barracks to deal with this, or barracks to deal with that. More outposts coming up. Geez, there is action all over this map, isn't there, Mitoe?
Yeah, there is a lot going on. B doing his best to hang on here after losing that fight in the middle of the map. He's doing a great job at trading with these knights right now. But PuppyPaw just has the better economy, and with the 3 sacred sites behind it, he can buy a whole bunch of food and wood, and even if he loses all of these archers, it's still going to be tough for B.
Yeah, he's continuing right now to fight. And you can see the economy for B is starting to really kick off. He's got so much food and gold in the bank. He's thinking about going age 3, and indeed, he's not thinking, he is going age 3. Ladies and gentlemen, he is going to be shortly up. Sacred Site is going to get decapped over towards the north, but just remember, it's not about the sacred victory. It is about the gold income that it provides by holding those sacred sites. So do not be alarmed. Do not think, oh, the sacred site victory, it's not going to happen anymore. It was never really in contention. It's very difficult to go for on this map unless you really key yourself up for it and try and take control of all the sacred sites and really look to punish your enemy. But now that third age is going to be coming through, PuppyPaw going to be looking very strong here. He's going to be heading into the castle age. He's going to have access to those elephants. That's really where the damage is going to start being done. Together with the men-at-arms, those guys are going to swoop in on the base of B and really look to put the honeycomb into the fridge.
Yeah, B going to have to be continuing to train units. But as you said, like the third age is in now, and that's going to be a lot of free techs that are starting immediately for PuppyPaw as well. Yeah, he's got 3 knights in queue now. He's got the honed blades on the way to make those knights a little bit stronger, and just raids happening everywhere, all over the map.
Yeah, there is just so much APM coming out from PuppyPaw. He's doing a great job. Look at the amount of attack alarms that are going right now. Littlecore barely knows where to go. You can see he's trying his best to catch all of them, but still, that Scholar going to be going down. Relics trying to be picked up. PuppyPaw actually not picking up any relics at this point, and it looks like Lancer's going to be coming out here in this situation for PuppyPaw. So looking to take advantage of that. A bit of if I remember correctly, does honed blades affect the Lancer? I think it does, right?
It does, yeah. The Lancer and the Man-at-Arm.
Right, so they're going to be in a great spot here, getting that extra little bit of damage. That's going to help out a huge amount. Obviously, going up against the French, they've already got a little bit of damage, but extended fights, longer fights, which are going to happen when you've got monks or scholars healing up, it's going to really start to pull ahead.
Yep, and starting to collect those relics now as well with those scholars, so that economic advantage is going to be pulling even further ahead for PuppyPaw. But B, he's got the resources to age now, so he is going to be following up to Castle Age. And it doesn't look like he's going to be in too much trouble. Is that the Royal Institute?
Oh my lord. We're seeing the Royal Institute twice in a single day. Ladies and gentlemen, what a treat, what a pleasure. So do we, honestly, if I'm 3DB at this point, I'm all in on knights. You just go mass knights. You go for like 30 knights and you get the upgrades on them. I can't believe we're literally seeing it twice in one game, or in one day. But I guess we are seeing a 25-minute feudal though. That's probably the big thing, right? When the longer these games go in the feudal age, the more likely it is that you see the Royal Institute come, because the economies behind this are very, very big. And as a result, it means they've got the economy to actually push out a lot of knights and do some damage.
Yeah.
No, Mitoe. Mitoe, you've gone all roboto on me. I'm sorry, Mitoe. Hopefully it fixes up, but we immediately see all the upgrades coming through. You can see the royal bloodlines, the veterancy coming through for these royal knights as well. He's going to be looking to try and do a bit of damage down towards the south here. Men-at-Arms also going to be coming out. A very nice tech switch from PuppyPaw, but maybe a little bit preemptive in the fact that we could see the royal bloodlines knights really look to take control of the game. Are you back, Roboto? Is Mitoe back? No, he's not back. I'm sorry, Mitoe. You're still robotic. You're still robotic. Hopefully we work it out very shortly. I'll continue solo casting until I know that Mitoe's back. Don't worry, Mitoe. I'll invite you back when I see that you're no longer a robot. He's struggling over there, poor guy. Now, speaking of struggling, I mean, 3DB at this point, talk about a struggle. He's managed to make it up to the castle age, but he is struggling to keep his head above water at this point in time. It's going to be neutralizing a sacred site down to the south. Keep going to be going up in the middle of the map. I still don't see you, Mitoe. I'm going to call you back in again. Maybe we can get you back in. You here? I don't think he's here. Oh, fellas, I'm sorry. But, I guess the interesting thing for me is that a lot of players looked at, oh my lord, we got a massive fight. We'll talk about that one later. Archers on the back line, looking to pick off any of those spearmen, but we start to see Arbalatrier coming out as well for 3DB in this scenario. He is looking to try and take control. He's managing to do a pretty decent hold here. A lot of lancers, a lot of knights coming out for his opponent. Men-at-Arms getting in on the mix as well. We hear relics being picked up behind the scenes, but the archers doing a great job of just teeing off towards their enemy, and it looks like once again 3DB is going to be holding, and we might have ourselves a little bit of a game, ladies and gentlemen. We're 27 minutes through. These guys have just made it into the castle age, and all of a sudden things starting to even up, but B still struggling with regard to his economy. He's managed to pick up one relic against his opponent's 3, but now those knights looking to push out, and they do have that extra health, 310 health on that. That should be a little bit of a sign to PuppyPaw that maybe you want to start making a lot more spears, because this guy means business. All right, Mitoe is back. I will invite him in once again to the casting booth. Welcome back, Mitoe.
Hello, please tell me this is working now.
It is working now, yes.
Okay. Man, my connection today has not been great, but this is a great game. I kind of missed the last couple minutes, but it looks like B is holding on by the skin of his teeth. PuppyPaw looks to be in a great position, though. That conversion not quite going to work out.
Yeah, not going to work out, but yeah, you're 100% right. B's holding on by the skin of his teeth, but he's keeping his head above water. He's doing a decent job. If he can take effective trades, he's going to be in a good spot. But villagers going down on the bottom side, it's not going to be pretty. Nice little cleanup now. Royal Knights going to be running in. Remember, these are our very, very buff Royal Knights, and we could see, if there are more Royal Knights that come out, I really wouldn't be surprised if we have a victory that goes over to our French player, but B doesn't seem that intent on getting out more Royal Knights. Take a look at the army composition for his opponent, though. Only 4 spearmen at this point. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of crossbows that may potentially come out, but no, there's only 1 crossbow at this point. It feels like an open day right now for the knights to come out. But speaking of knights coming out, Archer's going to be looking to defend in this position. All these armored units going to be taking them out. He's trying to hold on. There are villagers underneath the town center, but more archers running in. Where are the units right now for 3DB? All of the military units are down. He's got two knights, 8 archers. This could be a good game right here. PuppyPaw, he senses that there's blood in the water, pushes underneath the town center. Gonna be looking to find those villagers, and indeed, it is good game. PuppyPaw forces B to tap out, and the game gets called. 1-0 to PuppyPaw.
Yeah, that was well played from him, especially in the early game, not losing any villagers or anything like that. And then he always just had tons of units in every fight. And traded pretty evenly in most of the early ones, kept forcing B to fight him near the sacred site, and eventually that forced B to take a fight that he couldn't win.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm just working on technical difficulties behind the scenes here, Mitoe. One of my lights has gone out, so hold on. I'm going to try and turn it up. Never mind, I've turned it back on. There we go. I mean, it was just such an impressive game to witness right there. PuppyPaw had a lot of good things going for him, but I think the big thing that I really took away from that game was the fact that if we can take a look at the village account here, you can see B and PuppyPaw were basically neck and neck the entire game. We never saw B go for any upgrades, despite that being a 30-minute game. And we can see the village account here. So yeah, even towards the end, B began dropping down. If B had added that second town center in, I don't know when, I don't know where, but if he had added it in, he may have given himself a way out. Because it was only a matter of time until the Delhi were able to overwhelm him and overcome him, and indeed they did.
Yeah, if you're not going to go for some kind of economic investment, you definitely need to make something happen with those military units in the early game. Like getting some villager kills or getting some good trades. Unfortunately for him, he just wasn't things.
Yeah. Well, we're able to see the next matchup. It is going to be China versus the Abbasid dynasty on Hill and Dale. I suspect this one's probably going to be a little bit different to the China versus Delhi matchup that we saw earlier in the day on this map. I suspect this one's probably going to be focused a little bit more on booming. Obviously, that game, Delhi looked to take the sacred sites and China looked to deny that. Eventually, we did see China overcome the Delhi player. It took a while, though. It was an Imperial Age victory. Eventually, all those elephants were killed. Here, I suspect we're going to be seeing a race to 130 villages. We may see 2 town center Song Dynasty, may even see 3 town center Song Dynasty. What is your prediction here, Mitoe?
Oh, I guess, yeah, it's very possible we see a boom war with both players going for a lot of town centers, but it's hard to say. I feel like China is kind of the one that's a little bit more flexible in this matchup, maybe. Like, Abbasid kind of has that game plan where they want to get that second town center, make use of the extra foodstuffs, and then, get up to Castle Age. Because in Feudal Age, they really don't have a lot going for them, aside from the Camel Archer, but you wouldn't really expect China to make a lot of cav. So the Camel Archer, with that Camel Unease aura, is not going to be as useful.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it feels like maybe China could have an opportunity to do something in Feudal Age, but likely going to be like you said, like Song Dynasty into maybe second town center, and Abbasid also going for 2 or 3 town centers.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking forward to PuppyPaw's build order. I know he does love to play the Chinese. Obviously, doesn't play it at the same. What's the word? You've got to play like Beastie Cutie or Leenock, who almost specialize in playing the Chinese. When I watch PuppyPaw's stream, it's not that I see him rarely pick the Chinese. It's just obviously not a civilization that jumps out to him all the time. But now Hill and Dale comes out, and I got to say, I'm excited to watch our second Chinese game for the day. I remember casting, I think it was Genesis. We didn't see a single Chinese pick for the entire event, except for me. And I went out in the first round, in the round of 512. To be honest, there were a couple of other people who also picked China. But, to see China in a stage right now where it is such a popular civ, it makes my heart warm, because I know that you're a big fan of China as well, Mitoe. And, it's great to witness China on the main stage here.
Yeah, it's great to be seeing them picked more frequently with some more success. And I'm really interested to see what kind of build PuppyPaw goes for. I guess another option that we didn't talk about yet that kind of came into play last time we saw China is that Barbican, where he places it. If he could place it aggressively, he could maybe, really restrict where Abbasid can go. But that would, of course, be a little bit risky. So we'll see if he chooses to go for it, or maybe he'll just stick to that solid Song Dynasty plan with the defensive Barbican and town centers and getting to that late game where China really shines.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the big thing. Ideally for him, I suspect he's going to be very fearful of that timing that the Abbasid love to do. The only difference is the Abbasid, they can make mangonels, but do you even want to make mangonels? We've all of a sudden seen this whole concept of, we had 2 top tier civilizations before. It was the Mongols, it was the Abbasid. Why were they so top tier? Because you'd go Castle Age, you'd get that timing through with your infantry, and you'd build your siege out on the field. Well, now all of a sudden, mangonels are a thing of the past. They have been deleted. You literally can't even make a mangonel. I guess the other alternative is the Springled. And if there's one way that you're able to outgun the Chinese Springled, it would actually be if you could outmass them or outnumber them. And that's going to be one of the ways that you can do it. So maybe that is a potential way. So we could, maybe what we actually see coming out from our Abbasid Dynasty player, I'm trying to think through the matchup right now. 3 Towns and a Boom into a fast keep with a Trebuchet behind it. And then a whole bunch of like Springled outposts. That's what I'm thinking. And then if your enemy makes any Springleds, then you just mass up even more than them. That's the way I'm thinking about it. But I'm curious to see what direction it goes.
Yeah, it definitely seems like an option to set up that slow push with keeps and Springled towers, as you're saying. Yeah, it's tricky to see like kind of how Abbasid would approach this matchup now in the current meta, where China just has like some really strong defenses with that early Barbican and stuff, and especially on this map, they can wall very quickly. They build those stone walls a lot more quickly than other civs as well if they really want to defend quite hard. And yeah, Abbasid, without that that siege building on the field being as good, definitely has some less options than they used to against that.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how it unfolds. Well, we've got 2 minutes to go before the game gets started. Keep in mind, this is a best of 3. So right now, PuppyPaw technically is on match point. B going to be trying to get himself back into the game. And just remember that these guys are currently positioned Seed 7 and Seed 10. So the winner of this series is going to be further positioning themselves to try and make a better run than what they've made in the past. We've seen PuppyPaw being quite successful in the past. His first run, he finished with 25 points. Second run, again, 25 points. If he can actually emulate those first 2 runs and get a third 25-point run, he's going to be in a great spot. I think he might even qualify with that. You know, it would be a very good position if he's able to be on 75 points. So we'll look to see how he plays it. B on the other side, his first run was 30 points. Second run only worth 10. So now he's heading into round number 3, it's imperative that he gets more points on the board here and looks to try and knock out somebody else. And keep in mind, because these guys are too close, essentially you're playing against somebody that you could potentially knock out. So if he knocks B to the lower bracket and if B knocks out PuppyPaw into the lower bracket and then PuppyPaw loses again in the lower bracket, B continues moving forward. Now he's taken out one of his prime competitors, and all of a sudden, he's looking a little bit better. So it means that 75 points is now only 60 points, and it means B, all of a sudden, much stronger. But not too long before we get into this game. 40 seconds to go, Mitoe. How do you feel? Who do you think has got the advantage here? Is it China? Is it the Abbasid Dynasty?
I've been feeling China lately. I think they've been looking pretty good overall, especially on a map like Hill and Dale. Abbasid has definitely, been a little bit lackluster with the berry nerf and the changes to siege and stuff like that. So I think China's going to be my pick.
I got to agree with you. I am loving China recently. I know that a lot of people don't rate it that highly, and I guess when you've got civilizations like, the Mongols, the French, and the English coming out as these sort of top aggressive civs, that it's difficult for China to find that window for victory. But on a map like Hill and Dale, you can't help but feel like the advantage is always going to be in the favor of the Chinese. And in saying that, we head into game number 2. Ladies and gentlemen, it won't be too long before the beautiful game is with us. I can hear sheep in my right ear. No, actually, no, that was deer in my right ear. They make that lovely little sound. Yeah, we're going to be diving right in. Do not go anywhere. But any second now. Any second. I can feel it. I feel it coming. As one great singer once said, Mitoe. I just saw a comment in chat. It said, we need more hunt variation. I got to agree with that. We sometimes see a lot of different hunt variation in like Age of Empires 2 as an example. They get all these crazy different animals in on the action. But speaking of in on the action, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our second game in the series where we are about to get in on the action. We have got 2 of the best players in Age of Empires 4, in the Age of Empires 4 scene at the moment, going up against each other on Hill and Dale, spawning in on the south side of the map, playing as the Abbasid Dynasty. It is going to be B in the color red. On the north side of the map, playing as the Chinese, in the color blue, it is going to be PuppyPaw. We can see already from the opening build orders here, Mitoe, we've got an Imperial official opening for PuppyPaw, and he is also going to be going on sheep and berry, so not going to be going on the deer. So this is twice now that we've seen players on this map as the Chinese avoid going for the deer. So it definitely seems that deer probably not going to be superior in the early game probably a bit better to save it until the later game.
Yeah, as we were talking about in the last series with China, you get a lot less taxes when you go on the hunt with the new carry capacity changes. Because it's just, whenever your vill drops off, it gives you 1 gold no matter how much they're carrying. So starting with the sheep and the berries definitely makes a lot of sense for China here, as they're going to maximize that tax income. The mill is also going to be a little bit closer to the town center than it would if it was on the hunt, so you won't have to walk as far to drop off those taxes. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and the hunts will still be useful later on, so yeah.
All right, well, we'll take a look at how the map has spawned out for these players. So we've got a very even wood spawn this time. It seems like down towards the bottom side, B's got a pretty nice close forest, but at the same time up towards the north side, PuppyPaw has got his options up there. But play is definitely going to be anchoring towards this north side with regard to their fighting. You can see that we've got gold mines and stone mines that are littered across that dale area. But when it comes to the forest, there's only those 3 up towards that northern side. So I suspect that's where the majority of the fighting is going to be over. It is all about who controls the wood when it comes to this map. But interesting build order that we've already got opening up here from PuppyPaw. He's looking to go for a little bit of a rush, I would say. You know, he actually went for mining camp before going for the lumber camp, which to me indicates that he's going to be more intent on getting up quickly rather than taking his time. But now we do indeed see a beautiful Imperial Academy. Take a look at this one, Mitoe. Wow, this is very nice.
Yeah, anytime you can get all 3 drop sites in range of that Imperial Academy, it just feels super good. And there's still plenty of room left for him to place his military buildings around the Academy and the town center.
Yeah, that's a great point. Now, one of the things to note is that as the wood line gets further and further away from that lumber camp, you're going to be wanting to add in more lumber camps. And something that people will often do is they'll look to get the lumber camp right on the edge of their on the edge of that influence. But the problem is, if you go and replace that lumber camp, then all of a sudden you've got an issue because it's no longer in that influence. But you can see the way that PuppyPaw has placed this, he's going to be guaranteeing that his 2nd, his 3rd, even potentially his 4th lumber camp on this wood line are all going to be in that influence, all going to be pumping in that gold. And that's so much extra gold that he's going to have. Typically, as the Chinese, there are games that you play, you don't even need to be going on gold, just simply because you've got so much tax income that is coming in from that Imperial Academy. It just buffs up those buildings so well. And now we see a village coming down as well. One of the new, or it's not necessarily a new building, but one of the buildings available to you outside of the Song Dynasty. You can get this one in the Tang Dynasty now. This has been changed up in the recent patch, as you can see with Lidicor opening it up. The village is now available in the Tang Dynasty, which is what you start off in. And it means the granary comes down into the Song Dynasty. How do you feel about granaries, Mitoe? We haven't spoken much about them today.
You know, it's definitely a bit of an investment, and it's something you have to think about in the long term. It can be definitely hard to avoid when you want to make that farm transition. You're like, do I get a 50 wood mill, or do I spend an extra 200 wood on the granary? But there is something to consider about the granary as well. That's maybe like another benefit of it is you can fit more farms around that granary than you can around the mill. So it's like a little bit more cost effective in that sense, and you can also maybe supervise it or justify supervising it sometimes because you have more farms around it. So there's definitely some things to think about, but yeah, it's definitely not something you can afford every time.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you. I think if someone is looking to go for a transition, because normally you do see those transitions come through, like, you know, the 17-minute farm transition where all of a sudden, you know, the boars run out, the last deer patches run out, the berries have run out. Okay, it's time to go into farms. You know, that's a great time to be adding in, you know, I'm just going to drop down, and we've seen players do that as the Chinese. They drop down 2 granaries, and then they just litter the entire area just full of farms. But if you're looking to do a bit more of a slow transition, it can be prohibitive, spending all that wood on that granary. But now we see PuppyPaw dropping down that second town center, going to be coming down at 5 minutes 50. So not the fastest town center coming out from him, but a nice safe position here, close to his second, or close to his first one. And look at the second town center place from B right now. This is wild. It's going down on his second deer hunt. We'll jump down very, very shortly. I can just see it on the minimap. That's why I'm talking about it. Lidicor is going to take us down there eventually. And indeed, there it is. Look at this town center placement coming through from B.
Yeah, really just wanting to secure those extra hunts, and that's going to mean that he doesn't have to transition to farms as early, and it covers the second berry patch for him as well, so really helps him secure some safe food.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting point. You can see that he's got the berries behind there. I guess one of the other things to note is on Hillendale, Abbasid, not a bad pick either, because they do get an extra berry spawn, or at least an extra berry spawn is present on this map. Typically, on maps, you're going to have 3 berry spawns. One in your base, one a little bit further away, and then one a medium distance away. With this map, you've got a 4th berry spawn that's towards the middle of the map, and you're going to be fighting over it. So the Abbasid Dynasty obviously get a bit more of a bonus there. We can see the walls coming up here for PuppyPaw. It looks like it's going to get denied. At least he's trying to deny it. Not going to be successful here. You can see the scouts fighting out. It's going to force him back and at least force him to make a gate as that villager gets locked out. And what is going on here? Looks like the Barbican going to get dropped down. So going to be heading into that Song Dynasty about 7 minutes. Not a bad timing there for that Song Dynasty.
No, it's not. And you know, something interesting to think about with Chinese that PuppyPaw is kind of showing with his second town center is that he hasn't placed it directly up against the wood line. Whereas like normally with other civs, you would want to place the town center as close as possible to the resource. With China, you actually want to place it a little bit further away so that you can build that lumber camp and start getting taxes from it.
That's a great point. A lot of people don't realize that the town center doesn't actually generate any taxes when your villagers deliver to it. It's only those production or it's only those resource drop-off buildings that do. And now a 3rd wall coming in for PuppyPaw. Look at this. This is unprecedented here. Maybe realizing that there could be a potential threat of a villager chopped through, and indeed there is. And as a result, immediately just begins walling up everything, wall all the things. He's not even deleting pillars at this point. He is not fussed, and he continues now dropping down more walls, and you can see that villager struggling a little bit there to get through that wall, or to get through that forest, rather. He's going to have to pay very close attention here. You know that one of the big problems when you're doing this chop through is if you're not paying attention and your villager collects 10 wood or 15 wood because it's got wheelbarrow, that all of a sudden, you know, you are going to be having to head back to the pavilion with that. It can just be something you need to be cognizant of.
Yeah, and this is some great foresight from PuppyPaw. Like he's got the Barbican on the other side to protect from the chop through on that side as well. So just fully prepared for this, and yeah, it's just not quite going to work out for B, it looks like.
Yeah, he's able to repel that little push. So a lot of villager seconds there lost from that villager coming up to do the chop. And not being successful there, but very nice foresight there from PuppyPaw. Impressive stuff. And now we see a castle age timing coming through from B, looking to go into the culture wing. No trade wing shenanigans coming out today, like you would suspect some players to do. Yeah, he's going to be sitting on a 2 town center. So it's going to be a 2 TC boom off, but it does look like B is kind of working towards that 3rd town center. He's got a few villagers on stone, but not a lot of villagers on wood. So maybe the thought of the 3rd town center crossed his mind, and he just looked to vanquish it.
Yeah, it could be. He could also just be wanting to save that stone, maybe for a keep or something. When he does hit Castle Age, since he is going to get there first, that is potentially going to give him a timing where he can have some of those strong Castle Age units out, like the Lancers and the Men-at-Arms, and use those to support like 10 villagers pushing forward to build a keep. But we'll have to see what he chooses to do with that stone.
And now we actually see a counter wall coming down, and have a look at that. The gate was going up for PuppyPaw at the exact same time that the wall was coming down for B. So really unfortunate timing in that scenario right there for PuppyPaw. Going to put the gate up and then getting walled out completely. So going to be wasting a bit of wood there. But now those Chokunu moving out towards the villager. You can see them intent on finding that villager, that pesky villager. Still yet to see a 3rd town center from B, but he is working towards it as the age up going to be coming through for him. Now for PuppyPaw looking to get up as well. It's a 10-minute 40 age up time. Obviously, he's had to drop a few resources on the Chokunu here just to repel also that wall at the front. But both players looking like they're in a pretty decent position. But keep in mind, PuppyPaw on the equivalent of 3 town centers. Even though he's got a 2nd town center, because he's in the Song Dynasty, it's going to be reducing that villager train time down. And it means that the 2 town centers gets turned into 3. But now dropping down military production. What have we got coming down here for PuppyPaw in this transition period? Is it archery ranges? Is it going to be barracks? What route does he look to go? Looks like it's going to be barracks. You can see that he initially placed it down outside the AoE of the Imperial Academy, but cancels it and says, hold on a minute, that's right, I've got that Imperial Academy thing. I got to use that.
Yeah, so it is going to be Palace Guards coming out from him by the looks of things. And that's going to give him some mobility around the map, able to do some raids, and also just give him a tanky front line for these Zhugnu.
And now behind this, more Camel Archers going to be coming out. You can see that there's a big focus on Camel Archers together with Lancers from B. And I think this is a pretty decent composition, because going up against Lancers, you typically think, oh, yep, I want to make Spearmen. Well, hold on. You can't make Spearmen against the Camel Archers. They're going to pick them apart. And then, well, okay, I guess I can make Lancers up against the Lancers. Well, no, you can't because of Camel unease. So it leaves you in this difficult position of, I guess you're kind of forced into crossbows, and that kind of exposes you to mangonels. But I say exposes you to mangonels in the same way that you'd say, like, I don't know, it's not really a threat, is it?
Yeah, definitely not as much of a threat anymore. And looks like B is stacking up enough stone for a keep, so he is potentially going to be trying to place that as far forward as possible, but he might not actually have the time to do that with PuppyPaw having got to Castle Age shortly after him and actually having like a higher population than him.
Do we have any players yet going for monasteries right now? Oh, yep. We do. In fact, never mind. We've got both players literally going for monasteries as one of them runs out of hunt. So monastery on the front and mosque over here. Perfect timing. Look at that. About 12 minutes 30, both of them coming out. So now going to be a couple of Battle Scars heading towards the front. They indeed run back towards the safety. And we've got an outpost in the middle of the map. So we've got B climbing towards that 800 stone. And we talked about this before the game started, about what the potential options were for B in this scenario. And the idea of a forward keep together with a trebuchet might actually work pretty well against these Chinese, the way that the Chinese play it. Because you can see the Chinese player at the moment sitting on 81 villages compared to B on the Abbasid dynasty on 62. So by not going for that third town center, he's going to be at a disadvantage when it comes to his economy. So he needs to find another way he can get back into the game. A keep could be the way for him.
Yeah, for sure. And I love the way that B is trying to play this with his monk. He's going for the far relic while he guards it with his lancers, and he's going to be trying to bring that back. And if he does get that back, looks like PuppyPaw's going to be contesting it, but if he does get this relic back, that's going to make it a lot harder for PuppyPaw to be getting relics in the future.
Oh, he's focusing down the Imam. Imam's going to go down. He's trying his best to get it out. He manages to sneak it. Unfortunately, gets taken out. And it looks like that is going to be a very costly move in that scenario for B. Just remember, he's had to walk all the way out here. He's had to wait for that train time, and now it sets him behind as a result. He could have taken up probably another 2 relics in that time, but instead now he's going to be behind where he should be. And we see relics being taken. He's already picked up 1, so that second one going to be coming in shortly. But now farms being added behind this. He's got to be careful not to chop through as well. PuppyPaw is looking pretty close to a chop through on the front. And indeed, it's going to be a keep, but it's going to be PuppyPaw who looks to drop it down. So trying to get a bit of a keep advantage.
That is an ambitious tower going up there, having seen the units there already. But yeah, I don't know if this keep is going to be successful. I mean, China does build it a lot more quickly, so it can be difficult to contest it. But B has a lot of pretty strong units here.
That is a lot of villagers. That is 24 villagers moving out. They got to be careful here. There's a huge amount of units, and straight away that keep does go up. The units not turning their attention towards the keep. They could definitely take that out if they begun to siege it down. Will they do it, though? Yes, they do, but it looks like PuppyPaw are going to cancel it before it does get sieged down, managing to refund almost all of his stone in that scenario, and he is going to be a happy camper, getting away with it, but indeed ambitious. I mean, we've seen Ambition come out from B up towards the north. Ambition was definitely coming out for PuppyPaw right there. As he does get repelled, the villagers just struggling. He's going to have to go a bit further back, and indeed, that's where he is going to draw his fence. He's going to say, this is my land, and I'll be taking control of this area. But, yeah, I mean, at this point in time, PuppyPaw seems to be doing pretty well. He's got a nice little villager lead, but obviously B, he's cleaning up the relics behind this. He's up to 2 relics now. PuppyPaw still yet to pick up any relics himself. Keep in mind, those walls on the eastern side of his base, together with the outpost on the north side of his base, mean that it's going to be very open for B to actually take all of the relics. And that positions him well for the late game.
Yeah, B has done a great job of also just positioning towers all across the map to get vision of any potential monks or raids that might be coming through. And yeah, this is just a really nice play from him, nice contain. But yeah, PuppyPaw is going to have a pretty scary push here pretty soon with this villager lead.
Yeah, I think that's the big thing to worry about right now for the Abbasid dynasty, because, you know, how does the Abbasid dynasty actually go about winning this? You can see he's starting to stack up a lot of wood. There's no way that's all going into Rams or something like that. Well, it's got to just be Miss Macro at this point in time. But speaking of Miss Macro, I mean, over on the other side, PuppyPaw looking incredibly strong. All of that food being spent immediately. He's transitioning into farms. We'll take a look over at his base. We did see granaries coming down a little bit earlier for him. And the question is, how many granaries does he look to add at this point in time? We know he's got the one down. The second one has now come down as well. Third one yet to be added in, but obviously working towards it. Mill up towards the north there, just very lonesome. A lot of farms out for him. But now, 3DB doing a great job of just patrolling on this front side.
Yeah, and it looks like PuppyPaw did manage to sneak that top relic, but he's still got to walk around this cliff to bring it back. Since there is that tower on the north side of his base. B is potentially going to kill it. I think he's killing it right now on the minimap. And yeah, that relic does get denied for now. And that could potentially still be something up for grabs for B.
Yeah, and now 4 relics over for B. That 1 relic got denied from PuppyPaw, the poor guy. 5th relic going to get picked up for B. And, I mean, coming into the late game, who do you prefer? Do you prefer, you know, the Abbasid dynasty with 5 relics, or I say 5 relics. Oh, he's struggling. You can see he's walking away. He's so slow. It's a heavy relic. He makes his way out of there. He's going to be okay. He lives to see another day. That happy little monk. He's going to be incredibly happy with that pickup. But now, villager losing her life as she tries to repair that wall. It is a tough spot. Who would you rather be in this scenario? Would you rather be China in the late game with 130 villages, or would you rather be Abbasid with 130 villages and the 5 relics?
Yeah, I think I definitely want to be Abbasid in this situation. 5 relics is crazy strong compared to PuppyPaw, who's got 0 relics. He's going to be really having to think about controlling gold on the map. He does have the tax income and the supervision to give him some extra gold, so he's not going to be worrying about that too much yet. But, you know, if this game goes for like an extra 15, 20 minutes, it's definitely going to become a big problem for him.
Yeah, we saw a Trebuchet moving up towards that northern position. The villager had obviously tried to take it out. And look at that, beautiful 5 relics right now for B. He's going to be a happy camper with that. Sure, he doesn't have the same economy that PuppyPaw's got, but he will get there eventually. And it's about, you know, making sure that the game lasts long enough that he's able to secure it up. And look at this beautiful trench that is coming down for PuppyPaw. Are we able to jump into his line of sight? Are we able to get a good idea of exactly what he sees right now? Because I feel like he covers almost the entirety of this map right now. He is looking incredible. You can see from PuppyPaw's perspective, he is really struggling against it. But we go take a look at B right now. Look at B. He just encapsulates the enemy base in line of sight. He knows every single move that is coming out from PuppyPaw. It's incredible stuff.
Yeah, and that's really going to force PuppyPaw to like take his time with this Trebuchet to clear out some of the vision before he pushes, because if he's not careful, B could get like a really good position with some flanks or something as a result of this vision.
I guess my next question is, these towers or these trenches that we continue to see being built here, what's the best way to deal with them? Do you think it's just a trebuchet, it's a slow siege? Do you think battering rams are worth it? What's the best way to approach it? Because, as you know, Springles, they're pretty difficult to deal with. When the Springles are Springled emplacements are difficult to deal with, and they're very cost effective when they trade out units. So, what's the best way? What's your theory?
Yeah, I think at this point, trebuchets are really the only option. I mean, if you go for rams, like, you really have to commit your army to fighting underneath those towers, right? Which puts you in range of those really strong Springald emplacements. So the trebuchet kind of just avoids that problem, and it does a lot of damage, and you can run away if the Springalds come up, or if the units come up to try and, like, snipe you. The ram is more of, like, I guess I would consider it more of a unit you would make when you need siege, like, right now. And you can't build the trebuchet in the field, so yeah, rams become good in that situation.
That's a really good point. But not only do we see all 3 sacred sites being taken here by B, but we also see PuppyPaw hitting the Imperial Age. And with that are Imperial upgrades, including roller shutter triggers, reload drills, and of course, forestry is coming through. The impressive Imperial upgrade from the lumber camp that is coming through has finally been it's not really, it's a Dark Age tech, but it is coming through for him. It's now finally been researched. But I mean, at this point in time, the upgrades are coming through for PuppyPaw. We also see he's getting upgrades for his Palace Guards. And now we've got ourselves a little bit of a battle beginning to unfold as the Spearmen look to try and hold this position. A lot of Springalds coming out for 3DB at this point. 199 population, 200 population right now for both players at this point, and a lot of military coming out for 3DB. PuppyPaw going to be trying to hold on. You can see the Springalds at the back coming up, moving to try and come in for a bit of a kiss here. They managed to take out the nest of bees, but they continue firing out on the back line. The roller shutter trigger is going to be helping out a lot, but at the same time, there's no point in having that extra range as we continue to see B overwhelming his opponent. There's a little bit of a gap in this base. All of a sudden, it seems like there might be a possibility for a run by to happen. Crossbows on the back line, very effective, and now I'm starting to get a bit worried. PuppyPaw, it seems like he may have put his foot in it once again.
Yeah, be taking really good advantage of that Imperial age up timing before the upgrades come in to take a really good fight. But can he really do anything with this push right now with the keep there and the walls? He doesn't have any siege to really get through this, so he's probably just going to be forced to back up. I guess what this does do is it could buy him some time for these sacred sites to continue working down that sacred victory, and maybe to get up to Imperial age himself.
That's a great point. If there was any cavalry left, I would be like, you know what you need to do? You need to run that cavalry right into his base. But unfortunately, all the cavalry did die. There was a couple of camels that did make it out of that fight alive, but you can see it is quite open, and the possibility for a run-by, very, very open as well.
Yeah, and it looks like B is going to be saving the resources for that Imperial age behind this. I would really like to see him build some defenses around that sacred site on the left, because currently it's just wide open. One of these villagers could even just walk over there and contest that sacred site, but there's less than 7 minutes on the sacred timer, and I think that's something B really wants to consider as part of his win condition right now.
Yeah, I love the way that the villagers gather up. When you tell 55 villagers to go to a new wood line, look at how open they are, the way that they gather up this wood. Not the most efficient way to do it, but unfortunately the villagers, they can only, I think when it comes to a forest, you can only have 3 villagers chopping down a tree, whereas a straggler, it can be infinite amounts. University going to be coming up for PuppyPaw now. You can see he's actually going into hand cannoneers as well, so looking to get elite, or not actually getting elite spears, only with the veteran spears, but moving out with bombards. Does he have the pyrotechnics upgrade just yet? Actually, he wouldn't, because his university's only just coming up.
Yeah, that's right. No pyrotechnics from him yet, but he will be looking to get that pretty soon. Although that being said, okay, yeah, he is researching it. He doesn't have a lot of gold to spare on additional bombards, though.
Yeah, that's going to be the thing that is struggling for him. He's going to need to get out and fight on this map. He's barely given up an inch, or rather barely taken an inch from his opponent. But now those bombards, you can see them coming out and just taking out the Springalds of his opponent. So much damage, just one-shotting. Oh my lord, so much damage in that scenario. One-shotting each of those Springalds. And now those bombards got to be careful. These are not clock tower bombards, so they're going to have a fair bit of oh my lord, GC, that was close. Was that a mangonel? That was a mangonel.
That was a mangonel.
Did B forget what patch he's playing on? You can't make mangonels in this patch. Not that it's illegal to do, it's just, it seems a bit crazy, that's all. Oh gosh. Hey, but what do you think about like an upgrade for the mangonels in like Imperial Age? Because mangonels are very Castle Age orientated, but once you get to the Imperial, oh, never mind. We'll talk about that later, because villagers are going to run to their death underneath the keep of PuppyPaw. Yeah, I want to pick your brain on that, Mitoe, because obviously mangonels, they're not in the best state at the moment. There doesn't really seem to be much of a difference between their power level in you know, Castle Age and Imperial Age.
Well, there is an Imperial Age upgrade for them, the adjustable crossbars. That increases their reload time, or decreases their reload time by 25%. I believe that's the number. And really that ends up being like a 33% attack speed increase. So it's not a bad upgrade by any means.
Well, we've got a little bit of a sus position up here towards the north. Mining villagers all working together towards this gold mine. But PuppyPaw starting to look a little bit of a dangerous spot, because his gold, this is the gold that he's fighting for. This is in a very terrible position for him. We can see all the outposts coming up for B in this position. He's trying his best to get the emplacements on it. A lot of them coming through. Culverin also going to be coming out for B at this point in time. And now all those villagers going to be looking to gather up stone instead. They've decided to change their mind. And now PuppyPaw just going to be struggling. It's going to be taxes that he's going to be working on. That's going to be his only source of gold. I think he's actually got a gold mine in his base that still remains. We'll check over towards, I think it's over towards the west side of his main base, his main plateau. But
there is a large gold mine there, yeah. And he's, it's about to be exhausted, though. So
there was a large gold mine there. Oh, jeez. Oh, Mitoe. That's a feels bad moment right there.
Yeah, and look at the Sacred Victory timer. Like, PuppyPaw really has to continue this push. There's less than 4 minutes on that timer, and all these Sacred Sites are still wide open. I think B is going to have a hard time defending this.
Yeah, look at the hand cannoneers coming up on the front. Bombard's in the back, though. They're doing a great job just taking it out. Springold's going to be moving up. They've got their roller shutter trigger upgrades. Going to be able to focus in from the left-hand side. Take out the first Bombard. Second Bombard going to be falling back. Villagers moving forward. I think we might have a bit of a keep drop coming out as PuppyPaw. He's got idle villagers on that stone mine. I'm starting to worry for PuppyPaw at this point in time. B has managed to hold on to this point in the game. He's starting to drop with regard to his population. He's down to 160 population. And now, all of a sudden, PuppyPaw going to be dropping down this keep and looking to try and hold a position on this front. He's got the 5 relics back in base. Still yet to see any of those Imperial upgrades coming through. Improved processing, camel support, still yet to be taken. None of the military upgrades have come through from that wing just yet. And B is definitely fighting for his tournament life right now. He is on the line. It is a best of 3. This is match point right now. If PuppyPaw wins this game, he goes on to the next set. B will drop down into that loser's bracket. And now the crossbows, elite crossbows, going to be looking to hold on in this position. They trade pretty effectively against the hand cannoneers, but I just feel like it's not strong enough, and the hand cannoneer is going to be coming out from B in this position. Both players look to have secured up gold. B is going to be happy with his gold income, but at the same time, PuppyPaw has made it out onto the map. He's down to 101 villagers, so all of a sudden, B has taken the villager lead. He's also got the relic lead, so important to remember that these guys are really fighting for the tournament, their tournament life at this point in time.
Yeah, and it looks like PuppyPaw is on that Sacred Site on the left. He is going to be decapping that with a few hand cannoneers. And that Sacred Victory, I think there might be some units actually contesting it.
Yeah, they are indeed.
Actually.
Villagers trying their best, but unfortunately it is going to get capped. So PuppyPaw indeed manages to cap it. And you can see that keep it was trying to get up, but it's just too little too late. And now all of a sudden, PuppyPaw looking like he might be in an okay position. He's made it to the Imperial Age, and he's stabilized. But the question is whether he's going to be able to finish off his opponent. He's now struggling. He's going up against Culverin. The mass is beginning to build. A lot of Bombards still yet to really show themselves. And typically in this stage of the game, we'd see, 5, 6 Bombards coming out, but only 3 coming out for PuppyPaw at the moment. But continuing to move forward, we see those Palace Guards coming out onto the front line, Trebuchets on the back line. Bombards looking to move in and try and take out the Culverin. You can see the Culverin intent on taking these Bombards out, but instead it's going to be losing his life. The 12 range of the Bombard is just too much for the Culverin to deal with. And as a result, they all get taken out, and the Bombards remain very strong, very steadfast on that back line.
Yeah, PuppyPaw is just taking some great fights here. And, even though B has the better economy with these 5 relics with Tide Barns behind it, he just can't replace this army fast enough to defend his base.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we've got chemistry coming in for him, so he's looking to up the damage there. But keep in mind, he's also got horsemen in queue. These are elite horsemen. He does have the elite horseman upgrade. 10 horsemen were in queue. He's down to 4 now. So he could be looking to push out with that horseman timing. And that is indeed what he is looking to do. Needs to add in a few more stables. I'd love to see what kind of production we've got from B right now. At this point in the game, you would hope that B would be sitting on about 25 to 30 production buildings. We'll have a look and see exactly how many he's got. Lidicor is about to show us. We've got... Don't tell me that is it. Surely that is not it. Lidicor, have you got the button for hitting that? Oh, there we go. There's some more production. Okay, now we're talking. This is what we're talking about right here. This is it. This is the good stuff. You can see the way that he's got the buildings coming out on this angle as well. This is it's starting to look concerning for B though. That is the thing. He's really struggling with this food economy.
Yeah, he really needs to get a lot more farms down if he wants to be able to train enough units to deal with this army. And he's also got another problem. B's wood line is going to be exhausted soon on the right side of the map, and the rest of the wood is either stealth forests or these 3 wood lines on the left. Actually, it's completely gone.
So what does he do from here? I guess he needs to try and re-establish himself up on the north side. We talked about it a little bit earlier in the game. I mentioned that, majority of the fighting should be up on that north side, but yet we've seen it turn towards the center here, towards the player's base, as PuppyPaw continues to push in. I suspect we'll probably be heading back over there. Obviously, B knows he needs wood, and as a result, he'll continue to push, but now we see the villager count beginning to dwindle. Horsemen doing a little bit of a runaround, realize that there's too many spears in this scenario. These are still veteran spears, I'm pretty sure, but those Bombards going to be going up against the Culverin of his opponent. Managed to get out on just a slither of health, 20 health left on those bad boys.
Yeah, the clock tower just saving that unit right there with the extra hit points. And yeah, now the units are just pushing on through. There's a couple of culverins left, but there's nothing else really for B here.
He's going to be trying to fight to stay alive. You can see more hand cannoneers coming out from him. If he can get the hand cannoneer mass going, he will be in a great position. But behind this, PuppyPaw's economy is absolutely taking off. He's on 4,500 gold at this point. He is adding in production out the wazoo, you'd expect. Looking to forward base, and he continues funneling units over towards his position. And now B is going to be struggling because his opponent is working on those production buildings himself. Mining camp in the middle of the map, getting supervised here. Look at that. Almost got a perfect ring of villages. How many villages do we have right there, Littlecore? He's going to select them all for us. We'll head back there shortly and take a look after we've witnessed this battle. We've got 48 villagers just casually collecting gold. They would go through this pretty quick as well.
Yeah, and you want to keep all your villagers on one gold mine like this, because you want to supervise all of them.
Correct.
And you don't want to build the extra lumber camps, or the mining camps, so...
Yeah, it can be a big mistake. China's the only civ that you actually just want to have the one resource drop-off point for. But now attacks happening all over. I'm starting to get a bit worried for B. You can see the units trickling out of PuppyPaw's base. He's sitting on 179 population. B down on 116. He's got 15 military at this point in the game. He's struggling to keep himself above water. He's trying. His feet are paddling right now. His hands doing the doggy style. But he is really, really struggling.
Yeah, he is having a lot of trouble here. And just look at his wood income. I don't even know where he's getting wood. He has to be chopping a stealth forest somewhere, but it's not enough to continue production of these culverins. And in fact, that siege workshop is just going to go down before that culverin even pops out.
And now it looks like, speaking of popping out, B going to be popping out of this game because PuppyPaw is victorious and heads through to the next round. And that's going to be the round of 8. So that's going to look to secure him up more points. Going to drop B down into the lower bracket, and it's going to be a very tough walk for him. He is not going to be going for a walk in the park like you'd expect a dog to be doing. He's going to be going through a gauntlet. But now we can see the military count as well as the villager count. We'll take a look at the statistics. You can see the units killed there very close to each other, as well as economy. Littlecore, give us a view at the idle time. What was the idle time there for each player in their respective villages? I love checking on that statistic. You can do it in the society page. Not a lot of people realize that. If you check on society and then you scroll, there we go. 37 versus 49 seconds. So pretty decent idle times there for both players.
Yeah, both players pretty on top of that for sure. Yeah, PuppyPaw just did a great job of making use of that early power spike in Imperial, right? Because you get the free chemistry, makes your hand cannons really strong. It makes the bombards actually one-shot the springolds, whereas without chemistry they don't. And that really allowed him to take some great trades against the springolds in the middle of the map near those sacred sites.
Yeah, there was a lot of really good engagements where we saw them one-shotting, and I was almost impressed. I'm like, hold on a minute. He's one-shotting those. He looked very, very strong. But we are welcomed back, and we're going to be jumping onto the next series that we've got for you guys. So that was a pretty impressive run, but it looks like we've got some more updates coming through. So we'll talk a little bit about how Golden League has gone in this third round. Now, keep in mind, this is obviously the third round. The exclusive conclusion is what we are going to be, what it is called. And so I'm pleased to inform you guys about the results of round 3. So that was round 3 that we just watched. We started off with the 64, then the 32, and now we're down to the round of 16. Marine Lord has knocked out his opponent Zerton down to the lower stage. We are still waiting on Lucifron versus Leenock or Bruh, depending on that. But Vortex knocked out Hut. So unfortunately, the Australian sensation Hut goes down into the lower brackets, but Vortex moves through. DeMuslim knocked out Don Artie. I'm sure you guys will be heartbroken to know, but DeMuslim went on to play against Running. We did watch Running earlier play up against Doubt. Running was actually capable of taking out DeMuslim. It was a 2-1 victory for Running. Running actually stole away the English of DeMuslim and beat him with it, as far as I can see. In addition to that, we've also got Viper going up against State at the moment. We just saw PuppyPaw versus B. And then Beastie Cutie took out Recon. It was a 2-0 there. And Wham versus Casper is ongoing at the moment. So we'll be jumping into our next series shortly. But I'd love to hear from you guys. You know, is there a particular series that you guys would like to see? Is there a particular player that you'd like to follow along and see where they're up to? Obviously, I know that there's some fans in here for Beastie Cutie, for Marine Lord, for Viper. But remember, we're going to be following along those players who are sort of sitting on the precipice. You know, we've got, you know, your Leanox, B running. We've got Lucifron as well. Wham, PuppyPaw, all those guys are just sitting on the edge. We're not really going to be looking at those guys on the top. We'll probably focus on them as the tournaments or as this round starts to close out. But you can see, look at everybody in the chat right now. It's a lot of Vipers. I'm seeing Viper and Biper. What do you reckon, Mitoe? Who are we going to go to next?
Oh, I'm honestly not sure. It depends on who's starting soon, I guess, or which series we can jump into where they're just starting a game.
Yeah, well, we'll sort that out behind the scenes. Thank you for letting us know what your thoughts are. We will definitely take this into account, but we're going to be jumping into a quick break. Don't go anywhere. There is going to be plenty of action for the rest of the evening, so if you want, go grab something to eat, go grab something to drink. We're going to be doing the same thing, and we'll catch you guys, I don't know, we'll see you guys in 5. What do you reckon, Mitoe? 5 sounds pretty good to me.